right. So we're all cool. And I see that our next speaker is in the room, whom I love her book, and she is going to be book launching this tomorrow. If you have not been on this party and realize at the end of the summit, and sometimes in the middle of the summit, in May, we have one spot open for a book launch. We are such a big promoter of women in print. So Don't Have Sex 9 months before Christmas is going to be launched tomorrow at the end of the day at a book launch. Liz, our gorgeous writer and co-host, she is going to be launching her book at the end of the day. So look at, we do it so that you can party. You're going to be filled with all sorts of inspiration and motivation, and you're going to be racing to the races. So come, grab a glass of grab a glass of wine, glass of white, a little whiskey if you're in Ireland, and cup of tea, whatever you want, and come join us and just have fun. So Liz, I am going to let you introduce our gorgeous goddess author and take it from there.
I am so excited to introduce you, Rosemary Keogh Smyth. Am I getting that right?
Keogh Smyth,
Um,
yes.
awesome. And we already know your best-selling book is Don't Have Sex 9 months before Christmas and other practical financial tips. I love that title. Your book is seen on Deb's favorite book club. You're an international speaker on how to have financial turnaround and a true rock and roller. So your topic is nothing's off the table. And what we're going to learn about you is that you are number 1 BMX in the province for your category. Woo-hoo! Okay. And music, Copperhead Road, Steve Earle. Love it.
So one other thing about my BMX journey is last year I was number 3 in the province. This year I am number 1 in the province. Last year there were 3 of us. This year there is 1 of me. So anybody in Ontario who wants to come and race me, you are more than welcome to take my prize. This coming year I need some competition. Bring it. I am totally fine being last. It's a lot of fun. I chase men all summer long.
Love it.
Today, what I wanted to talk to you about is a topic that was kind of prompted by my son. As mothers of teens know, a lot of our conversations are happening through YouTube Shorts. So you get a text from your child and you watch a video. And if you haven't watched it quickly enough, you're going to get further texts from your child or a conversation, Mom, have you watched the video? So, going back to when I was a child, I asked my grandmother, how much do you make? Now, at the time, she was probably long past her working years, on a pension. And, the answer was whatever Canadian pension was. But what I received instead was, that's none of your business. And I got in a lot of trouble that day. So I carried on to believe that you can't ask that question. It's none of your business. It's like asking a lady her age. Was it last summer? I received a YouTube short, and there is a young man asking, Mom, how much did the house cost? Oh, that's none of your business. Asking Uncle, hey, how much do you make when you do this job? Oh, well, that's none of your business. He grew up a little, got himself in debt, and the lady at the bank said, well, why don't you know these things? Did nobody ever talk to you in your youth? Well, no, he asked the questions and they were none of his business. So if we want our kids to be growing up to be able to be financially sound, to be able to make great decisions, we have to stop shutting them down. So as soon as I saw that video, I hauled my son up from the living room where he was facing phone, trying to find another video to send to Mom. And I said, let's talk. Ask all the questions you have. And when you run out, I'm going to give you a few more answers. So we talked. Partway through the conversation, he said, how much does Dad make? I said, well, that you're going to have to ask your father. Why? Don't you know? Baby, I know everything. I am the woman of the household. I run the finances in this place. But your father has to answer that question. So when my husband came home and we were sitting around the dinner table, Colton said, Dad, how much do you make? What do you think my husband said? We don't talk about that. So I looked at him and I said, in this household, yes, we do. And he kind of looked at me and I said, yes, we talk about that. So he told his son how much he makes. He told him, we got into a conversation of education, experience, how he got to his job, that dad doesn't have a pension, that mom has a pension. There was a full-on conversation that resulted from my son being brave enough, and he hasn't even met Deb, to send me that YouTube short to start a conversation. One of the unintended consequences of my son sending me that YouTube short was I offered to go and speak in his school and to teach the finance component of the math curriculum in his classroom. Life choices. He's really not appreciating the fact that I'm showing up in his classroom more often and I'm teaching high school kids about finance. When I asked him why he wasn't answering questions in the classroom, he said, well, Mom, it's like cheating. I already know the answer. But having your mother teach has got to be a full-on embarrassment, which I'm very proud of. So what I would like to propose to the group is to do a little self-reflection on what are the conversations that you're shutting down at your table, be it your kitchen table, your community table, your business table. What are you not talking about? I'm seeing Deb nodding over here. I don't think there's much that girl doesn't talk about. Very open book. She will teach us everything. She will share everything. And I don't think there is a topic you're afraid to broach in a safe space. So I want you to think about what would happen if this evening over dinner, your child, your spouse, your friend asked you, how much do you make? If they asked you, have you ever walked out on a bill? Have you ever done a midnight runner on your rental? Questions outside of finance, such as, have you ever done drugs? Did you have sex before marriage? Did you ever cheat? Are we open enough to have the conversations with our children, with our families, with our friends, to be able to get to that deeper level? All about connection, all about bringing our children to a space of true comfort in speaking to us, in opening the relationship in our marriages. Opening it in one way, not another. I'm not into that. But are you willing to chance embarrassment in order to connect more deeply with someone you love?
No, I think it's a really important conversation. And I think what you bring up, I mean, first of all, congratulations and thank you, because you talk about something that you just reminded all of us that has been off the table as a conversation. And that, obviously it's a family decision, it's a personal decision, it's a nuclear decision, it's a community decision, it's a company decision, it's all of those things. But I think what you're getting to is that how else are they supposed to learn, right? They have education about having relationships. We had our first educational class on that when we were in grade 8, and it was meant to educate so that you were empowered to make the right decisions. And I think it is really interesting, and we experience it about finances being one of them, and that it's still very much locked behind closed doors. And I really appreciate it. I know we've had lots of times to talk pre-show because we talk on just putting that off the table. I loved your topic, like nothing's off the table. And I think, like you said, in a safe space. I loved how you tapped that in a safe space. I, like myself, and we talk about those things with our kids, because if you don't teach your kids how to budget or what this is or what profit and loss, all those things are as age appropriate, then you can't give them heck for when they get their paycheck and they blow it. Because internally you're like, oh my gosh, but you're coming from your place who has many lists of things that you have to pay for, and they don't. And just having that conversation and just weaning in that knowledge. And there's really incredible people like you. I know that you do this I'm so used to calling you Rosy, so I'm just going to call you Rosy. I know that you
Yep.
do this, like when you sit down with people and you sit down with their family and you sit and have that conversation, checking in with the family on what their rules around finances, what they say and what they don't say, but teaching. I mean, I remember taking my kids when they were young to the financial advisor and say, have a conversation. And, and the first thing when the financial advisor was talking to my son and he was younger, and she's like, so as we put money away, what is it that you'd like to buy? Thought it was going to be his car when he was 16 or whatever. It was a dog. She's like, okay, okay. So let's talk about financial responsibility and relationship of saving up for a dog. But I think that it's important to have that conversation because that guessing, and I think it's very difficult. I mean, you think about how what people are seeing on social media as par norm, right? Like whether it's the trips and the cars and the this and the that, and there's some kind of assumption that all just kind of comes into play. Working and budgets don't get talked about on social media. Like people don't go, oh, I budgeted for 2 years or 5 years and my family took this trip to Fiji. People just see the Fiji,
Mhm.
right? They just see the Fiji. They just see the new car. They just see the new house. They just see and there isn't that talk of before. There isn't that talk of before. So I think that is important for us to put on the table. And you said a few highlighted things that I'm sure made people think, oh, wow, right? How good can the conversation be, or how open can the conversation be? So we really don't want the next generation to make the same mistakes that we did because we probably didn't have data points. Yeah.
No, we didn't learn. My parents didn't learn. It's one of the reasons I wrote the book, so that it
Yeah.
could just be that basic conversation of finance 101. Let's get this done.
Yeah. So when you talk about don't have sex 9 months before Christmas, right? Right? All this. Is that because having babies are expensive and Christmas is expensive? Is that what we're going for here?
When we're aligning those two major events, if you ask any Christmas baby, they've all heard, so would you prefer two small gifts or one large one? Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I asked. I think that's awesome. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
there
ask
is a
my
little section in the book explaining that title as well.
oh, there you go. Liz, what do you think? What did listening to Rosemary do for you?
So I think the most important thing that you said was how things need to be talked about, and that children need to know what they want to know in a way that's appropriate for them, and that you sharing all of that information with him makes him, as you say, a far more financially intelligent, responsible citizen of the world and an autonomous person, right? Someone who can actually be in the world with confidence. And I think it speaks to, I mean, what we've all really been talking about for the, in terms of your sharing, that secrets don't get anybody anywhere. They just repress conversation,
Yeah.
right? So when your grandmother said, none of your business, that was the end of it, right? But you opened that doorway in such a beautiful way. And now you're sharing that with so many people to be able to do the same thing.
I hope so.
So, I applaud you because we all need that. All of our children need it. So that can be a way that people just live,
Mhm.
right?
It's
So,
such a safe conversation with you, Rosie. And I think, for anyone, finances can be a private conversation. And there's things attached to it, right? Like I should have known better or where. But if you are like if you don't have the resources to
mhm.
be able to know the answers for it to make good financial decisions, and then sometimes things happen in life where financial decisions show up and you have experiences you never thought. And you might
Yeah.
find yourself in places that you never thought. And I honestly got to say that's why there's people like you that do good, safe financial work, because if you weren't taught, you don't know. And it's hard to teach the next generation what you don't know. You might have had to learn something by circumstance, like, oh, that's what it looks like,
To be
when
that
you
far
have
in
a
debt.
marital status change or when your boss changes at the office or like all these things that are unforeseen, right? So thank you so
And no
much.
shoulds, no shoulds and no spreadsheets.
Right.
Ooh, there you go. That's
That's
tempting.
great.
That's a good tagline. No, yeah, absolutely. That's a good tagline.
And
Um,
just so you know, it isn't the grandmother who I dedicated the book to who told me none your business. It was the step that my grandfather had chosen after that, and she didn't like me anyway.
oh, she like you. Well,
That's
well,
brilliant.